Just another day, another Muslim openly calling for war against white people, saying that Muslims do not want to be wiped out like the Aborigines in Australia. Hello? The Aborigines are still in Australia and they haven't been wiped out. And in fact, they get lots of benefits today. But if you're talking about in the past, guess what? The white man was also wiped out too, to some extent. They wiped each other out. But of course, you don't know history in Australia. Funny that you uh, you think that you know the history of Australia, and yet you are calling for war against Tommy Robinson as well as white people. You're calling for Muslims to go out and end the life of Tommy Robinson as well as white people. You want to take over, and that's the whole point of jihad, right? You don't want some genocide to occur to Muslims, even though there is no genocide occurring to you Muslims. You guys are the ones that actually would commit a genocide because jihad, the whole point of it, holy war, take over, leave no one alive. If they don't want to convert to Islam, knock them out. That's what you guys want. And you're coming to Western countries, Christian countries, and you thinking that you're not safe? That is the most lunatic thing I have heard in a while, even though I've heard some pretty crazy lunatic things. No, you don't get to come here and get to claim to be the victim and then openly call for war against us. No thanks. And that's why we had crusades, right? To knock out a bunch of these bastards that think that they know what's up. Sorry, you don't. Just so you're aware. And how about that? These Muslims, imams, and preachers think that they can openly call for this sort of stuff and no repercussions are going to happen to them. They're actually protected, by the way. He calls them to take up arms and defend yourselves and do preemptive strikes wherever jihad is needed. Interesting, as white men are not involved in the Gaza conflict, but it's just Arabs that are involved. But, you know, we're going to create a new issue entirely. That new issue is we're going to go after the white man because we hate the white man, evidently. The white man, me, is apparently the most hated because apparently white men are so bad. We're responsible for so much evil. Hello? Do you know who started the slave trade? Do you know who started the slaughter of innocents? Maybe you should look into history a little bit. Your own damn prophet murdered whoever he wanted to for the sake of it. He raped a 9-year-old girl. And that's the man that you guys revere and look up to. Not exactly the best character reference. And by the way, in Islam, they still keep slaves. They still slaughter innocent people. That's still happening today for their faith. Christians are being persecuted over in Nigeria, being slaughtered for their faith. Christians, the world's silent. The world says nothing. Why? And yet this Muslim going, we want war. It's the whole point of jihad. And then bringing Tommy Robinson into it. Because Tommy Robinson's white. Oh, we hate Tommy Robinson because he's white and because he doesn't stand for Muslims coming in and taking over. No, you want to come to this country, you assimilate. I've got no issue if you want to come here and assimilate peacefully. But if you are openly calling for the death or war or jihad in any fashion whatsoever, that's where I draw the line. I think everyone should draw a line like that. The moment you cross it, it's the Rubicon moment. When Caesar crossed the Rubicon, there's no going back. You cross it, there are consequences. Just pointing that out, making it abundantly clear. These people say they love death more than they love life. And they have the gall to call for the death of white people. War. Is that what he really wants? War. Have a watch of this.
What is jihad? Jihad is really removing oppression. Wherever there may be oppression, what people like Tommy Robinson have to realize is that Muslims do not want to be wiped out like the Aborigines in Australia. Muslims do not want to be wiped out like the Maori in New Zealand, where the white man wiped out the Maori in New Zealand. The white man, he carried out massacres and genocide against the Aborigines in Australia. The white man carried out these massacres and genocide in Canada. He carried out these genocides in the United States of America, and he attempts to carry out these genocides today in Gaza. But the Deen of Islam has legislated jihad, that wherever anyone attempts to carry out genocide, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded the Muslims, do not permit them to carry out genocide. Take up arms and defend yourself, and do preemptive strikes wherever those preemptive strikes, which is offensive jihad, is needed.
Mate, who's wiping you out? No one's wiping you out. You guys are breeding like rabbits. And you are taking over. Sharia is everywhere at the moment, in case you were wondering. Oh, but what people like Tommy Robinson need to understand is that Muslims don't want to be wiped out. Huh? You're not being wiped out. Christians are being wiped out. White people are being wiped out. We're being taken over by you guys. Typical of them to claim to be the victim. They come here, they take over, and they're like, oh, we're being wiped out. Oh, yeah, that's all we need. Offensive jihad. So these are the sorts of Muslims I have a problem with. The ones that openly call for violence. Preemptive strikes. No thanks. No, you don't get to come here into my country, thank you very much, and demand that your followers commit acts of terror and aggression. No, you don't get to do that at all. You don't get to tell someone like Tommy Robinson, you need to understand it like this, mate. You don't get to call for the death of anyone, especially not the likes of Tommy. Especially not him. They try and demonize us to try and justify their hate and violence. They're upset that we're calling out their actions and behavior at the moment, so they are trying to gaslight and play the victim. Typical, right? Oh, and by the way, just in case you were wondering about who's actually in the right in terms of this Hamas-Israel conflict at the moment, well, Trump brokered a peace deal, didn't he? Now, guess what? Hamas said that they were going to release the hostages. Big deal, right? Massive deal. But there's a problem. Hamas doesn't want to, they're demanding changes. They don't want to actually demilitarize. They don't want to disarm. Interesting how Hamas claimed to be the victim the entire time. They don't want to demilitarize. They don't want to disarm. They don't want the tunnels to be destroyed. None of that. Why? If Hamas is really the victim in this situation, why do they want to keep their known terrorist militia alive and well and thriving? We can't get rid of that. We'll give you back the hostages. Israel needs to leave, but we get to keep our military. So we can start the process all over again. Right. It's because, my friends, as I have been stating for a very long time, it's not about peace. They don't want it. I mean, we want peace. We're calling for peace. But there can be no peace when you have terrorism in the mix. They don't want peace. They've never wanted peace. You cannot have peace with terror. And until that is wiped out completely, you're going to end up in a world of hurt. They have no right to demand anything, but yet they are, because they're winning the propaganda war. And still, these people seem to think that Hamas is the resistance. They're sick and twisted in the head. And yet we've got these imams that claim to be the victim. It's like psychological jihad, by the way, in case you were wondering what that was. We're going to claim to be the victim. We're going to claim to be the oppressed ones so you can feel bad for us. The government can feel bad for us, and the government can't do anything to stop us, even if we call for war. Right. No, thanks. I'm done. Are you? That's enough from me, but you guys take care. Be blessed, and I'll see you all in the next video.